Kavichanda Ara Kitaniya Sastivara. Krishna Dasa Vedya Arapandita Sekara. Kavichanda Ara Kitaniya Sastivara. Can someone try?
Krishna Dasa Vadyara Pandita Shekhara. Krishna Dasa Vadyara Pandita Shekhara. Kavichandra Arati Kanya Sastivara. Krishna Dasa Vadyara Pandita Shekhara. Krishna Dasa Vadyara Pandita Shekhara. Kavichandra Arati Kanya Sastivara.
Anyone, ladies? Any more ladies? What about you? Try. So thank you. What for what translation? Krishna Das Vedya. Of the name Krishna Das Vedya. Ara and Pandita Shekhar. Of the name Pandita Shekhar. Kavichandra. Of the name Kavichandra. Ara and Kirtaniya. Kirtan performer. Sastiwara. Of the name Sastiwara. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace is Confounded Sila A.C. Bhakti Vasudeva Swami Mandir. Sila Prabhupada Kija. Sila Prabhupada Kija. The 51st branch of the Chaitanya tree was Krishna Das Vedya. The 52nd was Pandita Shekhara. The 53rd was Kavichandra. And the 54th was Sastiwara, who was a great Sankirtan performer. Please kindly respond. Repeat. The 51st branch of the Chaitanya tree was Krishna Das Vedya. The 52nd was Pandita Shekhar. The 53rd was Kavichandra. And the 54th was Sastiwara, who was a great Sankirtan performer. Purport. In the Gaura Ganodesha Dipika 171, it is mentioned that Srimad Mishra was Chitrangi and Kavichandra was Manohara Gopi. Again to Miranda, Yenatasmai, See Guru Chaitanya Manovistam Safitam Ginam Bhutali Swayam Rupam Kadamaya Padatisva Padantikam Vande Sri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahodata Vadadaya Puspavanto Chita Chandatamam Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Sadhasa Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, Srimad Bhakti Swami Nityananda. Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Pachari, Nirvasa Swami Vahana, Manchakalpatari Decha, Kripa Samala, Patitanam Pavan, Vaishnav. So, this text is again very self-explanatory. Is again a continuation of the description of the Chaitanya tree. A tree, as we know, has branches, twigs, leaves, flowers, stem, root. And so here we're talking about the branches. In other words, the Lord Chaitanya family, the Lord Chaitanya devotional family. These were the people who were very much around Lord Chaitanya in his pastimes. And just like when Krishna was on the planet, Krishna came with many, many friends, many, many cowherd boys took bed in Vrindavan. In fact, some of the sages who had met Ramachandra when he was in the forest, who desired to become his companion. And Lord Ramachandra told him, no, I already have a companion right now. In this avatar, no many companions, only one. You can take bed and be part of my companions when I appear as Lord Krishna. So most of these cowherd boys, it's also mentioned in the Govardhan Lilamrita. Most of these cowherd boys are also from the past. They were sages, and they had met with Lord Ramachandra, requested for companionship, and Lord Ramachandra deferred it. But he didn't deny them. He just deferred. He said, now this is my commitment. He came to set an example as a perfect king. And when he came as the Lila avatar, Purushottam, the enjoyer of the Leelas, those sages also participate. So here, Prabhupada is making a reference to the writings of Kavi Kanapura. The Sri Ganadesha Dipika was written by Kavi Kanapura. So Prabhupada is making a reference to the Kavi Kanapura, to the Guru Ganadesha Dipika. How these people who are with Lord Chaitanya, it's not their first time of being with the Lord. It's just a Leela. When they were with Krishna, during Krishna's pastimes, they were with him. And the Chaitanya Leela, they also took bed in different, families, different positions. The idea is that the Lord had appeared as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is not carrying weapons like Krishna, who will kill demons. He has no weapons. And what are the weapons of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Bolo. What are Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's weapons? It was not, it didn't carry a chakra to kill demons. But what, he had weapons too. what were his weapons? What were Lord Chaitanya's weapons? Huh? Danga and Krita. Okay. Hare now. Okay. Yes. Anyone else? These are good points. Anyone else? Lord Chaitanya's weapons. You recite this verse from the Bhagavatam. Yes, Bolo. Yes, Mataji's ladies. How do you call your ladies here in America? You know, people want to be addressed as Prabhus too. What is the situation here? He's laughing. He's laughing. Eh? Okay. You see the word. You see, you have to be what you call cultural intelligence. Cultural intelligence means that you are able to understand the different cultures and where you go, because what is obtainable in America is not what is, gotten here in Europe. That's Radha Parisisvara Mandir. So, yeah, can the Mataji's, can you help us? Huh? His what? His associates. His associates. The Lord's associates are his weapons. And so, but ultimately, we are also having that type of mindset. Because even ordinary humans, no matter how rich you are, if you become a Bill Gates, you need associates. If you become Elon Musk, the richest man on the planet, you need associates, isn't it? Yeah, I think Elon Musk he had 3. This is his 3rd wife or something like that, 3rd marriage. So, but the Lord does not go into divorce. That's the difference. He has associates, eternal associates. And so it's understandable that everybody needs some type of sustainable association. We are humans, we are social animals, and we need some type of socialization. And in the case of Lord Chaitanya Prabhu, it's just purely devotional socialization. And his devotees were his major weapons. He will use the devotees to accomplish so many things. He sent out his devotees to go and preach to the drunkards. He sent his devotees to go and feed the poor, the needy. So in that way, it wasn't necessary for him to do everything. But he had devotees that were available to be engaged in his service. And so these devotees were not just coming into the association of the Lord for the first time. They had been his associates even in the Krishna Lila. All of the associates of Lord Chaitanya Prabhu were part of his associates in the Krishna Lila. And this is documented in the Sri Gaura Ganodesha Dipika. So that's the reference that Prabhupada makes here. And essential point for us is that the kirtan we are performing in our temples, it is not something manufactured by an ordinary human being. This movement is Golokera Prema Dhan. It's an import from the spiritual world. And people like imports. Even in America, people like Japanese cars. People like imports. And this movement is an import from the spiritual world. Can you imagine that? And you're part of that. So this is something glorious. And therefore, we should take it very seriously. This is very precious. It is not something that was created. Even Prabhupada did not create the Hare Krishna movement. He did not found the Hare Krishna movement. he transplanted the teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the teachings of the acharyas, the teachings of Lord Krishna to the Western shores. And so the understanding is that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like I was mentioning yesterday, he inaugurated this Sankirtan movement. And I also mentioned yesterday how the Sankirtan movement is science-based movement. So we are not another religion, so to say, okay? And so you can authoritatively tell somebody, what is this Hare Krishna about? Are you Hindu or what are you? Tell them here is, this is a Sanatana Dharma. It's a scientific organization. Because Lord Chaitanya founded the movement based on synergy model. The synergy is a scientific model which is used in building up high performance and high productivity because of the collective efforts of the people who are involved in a particular project always yields higher results. Vice versa, individuals doing that same thing and bringing the results of those individuals together. So this movement was founded on the basis of science. And everything that we do has some scientific connotations. In fact, science simply means there are activities, observations, results, and conclusions. So when we get, and remember, Sheta Swami, he conducted his research on deity worship at Oxford. You aware of that? Was it Oxford? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Krishna Cheta Swami, he did his PhD dissertation on deity worship. A dissertation means you have to show scientifically how the things work, what are the results. Yeah, so, and we have so many stories in the Vedic literature how some of these deities are also self-manifest. And the deities, some of them can respond. Remember the witness deity in India, where these Brahmins had traveled for pilgrimage, and the younger Brahmin was serving the elder Brahmin, and he became so satisfied with the services of the younger Brahmin. I keep in mind that the whole secret of expedited devotional progress is science. We say dasa, anu, das, but maybe sometimes we just parrot those words. We need to put that into practice. Then we see how our spiritual progress is expedited. So these two Brahmins, young Brahmin and elderly Brahmin, they traveled for pilgrimage. And then the elderly Brahmin was being served by the younger Brahmin. This is also explained in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And the elder Brahmin became so satisfied with his services that he volunteered to give his daughter to this younger Brahmin, her wife. The younger Brahmin also understood that he's a pauper. He doesn't have money. And so it might be difficult because the older Brahmin is from a rich family. And so it might be difficult for the elder Brahmin to fulfill his words. When you say one thing, in America we say, walk your talk. If you say one thing, you follow it up, you can be trusted. But if you say one thing and you don't follow it up, that creates some stigma in the trust vertical. Yeah. When you say something and you don't follow it up. So I say, all right, I'll give you Mahananda. I'll give you my house. I'm living in France. I want to donate my house to you, Mahananda. And then the time I'm living, I didn't give you the house. You cannot trust me if I say something like that. That's the import. So the younger Brahmin has some doubt. Why? Because himself, he's a poor Brahmin. And the girl is coming from a rich family, aristocratic family. Brahmin is from a rich family. Some Brahmins are coming from rich families, very rich families. So he has some doubt. And he expresses doubt to the elder Brahmin, whom he had served, and who became so pleased with him. And so the elder Brahmin gave him assurance. But then, the younger Brahmin, he was very smart. He wanted to witness. These days, people sign documents. You have to hire a lawyer to draft a document for you, for signing an agreement and all these things. So, but even in the past, people had doubts. This was a Brahmin. Listen, this was a Brahmin. The other guy was also a Brahmin. But seeing the sociological setting, he had a cause to be doubtful, of course. He's a poor guy, and this person is from a rich family. He's saying, so he told him, look, you have good intentions, but your son will not allow it. Because I'm just a poor guy. He said, no, he will. So he went to pray to the deities. And Gopinath agreed to follow him, to be a witness. Because when the older Brahmin will tell his family, the son will say, no, how can my sister marry this poor Brahmin? They are not sociologically compatible. We are a rich family, it's a poor guy. Yeah. So then, Gopinath agreed to follow the Brahmin, to be the witness when the case comes up. So that story is also there. Lila is also there in the Bhagavatam. The Chaitanya Charitamrita. And that temple is there. So this deity followed until near the village. He was not hearing the ankle bells of the deity anymore. So he doubted again. To doubt for the sake of doubting is meaningless, but there are reasonable doubts. Oh yeah. Even remember the Jagannath Leela, the sculptor who was carving, at some point in time, the Jumna couldn't hear the noise, the sound of the sculpture, the carving. So then he had a doubt. Well, what was going on? So he went to investigate. Yeah. So my point is, doubting for the sake of doubting is meaningless, but there are reasonable doubts. I remember, in most cases, remember when I was very active on Facebook, people send me messages, especially Indian people sending a message. Oh, Maharaj, I have a doubt. There are temples near where they are living. They won't go there, They come to the internet. So the bottom line is that the Chaitanya Charitamrita is a living scripture. A living scripture in the sense that it is not just a folk tale. This is a story that people had existed. Lord Chaitanya was on this planet. He had all of these wonderful pastimes. And today happened to be one of his associates' appearance, Radha Parisisvara. So we take some time also to speak a little bit, share something about Radha Parisisvara, because we have limited time. So for one thing, for sure that the associates of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are the same associates of Lord Krishna. For instance, Gadadhar Pandit was Radharani in Krishna Lila. And Radha Pandit appeared in the home of Sri Madhava Mishra and Ratnavati Devi. And they were their homes, Gadadhar Pandit's home, his parents' home, and Jagannath Mishra's home, Lord Chaitanya's home, were close by. So from childhood, they were hanging out with each other. They knew each other from childhood. They played around. In fact, they went to the same Ganga Pandit's school. They went to the same school. As described in the Chaitanya Bhagavad, how Lord Chaitanya was very much fond of teasing Gadadhar Pandit. When they were in school, he would ask him questions that are completely like outlandish, strange, and he would sometimes even try to avoid it because for him it seems it's that the difference between Gadadhar Pandit and Lord Chaitanya is that Gadadhar Pandit is very, very cool-headed. Lord Chaitanya is very fickle, and he creates scenarios and all this type of stuff. So Gadadhar Pandit, they had this close association from their tender age, from childhood. So they were very, very intimate. And again, because Lord Krishna was never separated from Radharani, Lord Chaitanya was also never separated from Gadadhar Pandit. As they were growing up, at the time, Lord Chaitanya was not like a devotee. He was a pandit at some point in time, defeating people's argument and all this stuff. So people fear him in Navadvip. And in the Chaitanya Bhagavad, it's mentioned how Gadadhar Pandit at some point in time would just avoid Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by all means. If he's coming on this road and Lord Chaitanya is coming from the other side, he would take this way. Just avoid him because Lord Chaitanya is very confrontational. He's not a cool-headed guy. He confronts you with, philosophical questions. You say one thing, and then if even you say the correct thing, he will disprove it right before you with another philosophical thesis. So he tried to avoid him, and then they tried to make him a devotee, but then he was not forthcoming because he would ask questions back and forth, and sometimes they look at him like, oh, this person cannot be a devotee. However, as they were growing up, they became again very much in tune with each other. And when Lord Chaitanya started his childhood pastimes, even in the school, Gadadhar Pandit would always be by him. And therefore, it's to be understood that the same relationship that Krishna had with Radharani, intimacy, that type of bond was also there between Lord Chaitanya and Gadadhar Pandit. In fact, we have even deities of Gora Gadadhar. You been there? Yeah. Near our temple at Mayapur. That's one of these places to go to. I think it's is it? Yeah. Yeah, so, but if you don't have the understanding, you'll just be doubting. What is this? I've never heard of this before. Gora Gadadhar. I mean, it's like we have Lord Krishna is not worshipped alone. He is always worshipped. The Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis, they worship Radha and Krishna. So, in the same way, those followers of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recognized the relationship between Lord Chaitanya and Gadadhar Pandit. And when Lord Chaitanya became inclined in devotional service, the whole of the Vaishnavas in Navadvip, they were like jubilating because he was like creating a lot of resistance to all of their efforts to be. They were very keen to make him a devotee, but then Lord Chaitanya would never budge. And so, but then eventually, when he became he showed his interest in devotional life, the whole of the Vaishnava community in Navadvip, they became very much saturated with joy because this is the person they want. And of course, people like Gadadhar Pandit, they know this is the Supreme Lord. He just performing some pastime of resisting devotional philosophy and all this stuff. But again, we'll find out Gadadhar Pandit is a very special personality. In the Chaitanya Bhagavad, there's a lot that is being described about Gadadhar Pandit and how he grew up a Vaishnava. He was born in a devotee family. His parents are devotees. But then when he had this relationship with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Lord Chaitanya would taunt him and all this stuff. Sometimes he didn't really like it, but he cannot separate himself from Lord Chaitanya. The eternal bond is there. I mean, it's like you have a brother or sister who taunts you, but the love is so intense that you can't do without them. Yeah, that was the case with Gadadhar Pandit and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he's mentioned how one time when that also I mentioned that yesterday, how Pundarik Vidyanidhi from Chittagram, he came to Navadvip. And so Mukunda, he told Gadadhar Pandit, Mukunda is one of those exalted Vaishnavas in Navadvip. So he told Gadadhar Pandit that a great devotee has arrived. Navadvip in those days was like the center where people learners, scholars, devotees, they came from different places to visit Navadvip. It's like we have this other place of Varanasi. So in West Bengal, Navadvip was that center of learning where people come. So this great devotee came one time, Pundarik Vidyanidhi, and Mukunda informed Gadadhar Pandit, solicited that they go to see him. He has told Gadadhar Pandit how great the greatness of the devotion of Pundarik Vidyanidhi. So Gadadhar Pandit subscribed to the idea of going to see him. Then they went. And then when they went, Gadadhar Pandit saw him, saw Pundarik Vidyanidhi in such great opulence. And he knows devotees are very renounced, detached. I mean, this reminds me of a scenario in Louisiana. One temple in New Orleans. So some people who came, they have read our books and they've heard our philosophy about renunciation and all this stuff. And then when they came to the temple for Sunday feast, and they saw all these luxurious cars. When they came to put it to devotees, I thought you people say you're renounced. Why are members riding all these big luxurious cars? So sometimes people can miscue that the principle that we live by is utilizing everything in the service of the Lord. So Pandit, when he came with Mukunda to see Pundarik Vijayanidhi, and he saw him in opulence. He doubted, and Mukunda Datta, also his staunch devotee. He understood Gadara Pandit's state of mind. And just to convince Gadara Pandit, he recited some verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam. When he recited the verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, glorifying Lord Krishna, Krishna Lila verse, immediately Pundarik had that verse, he swooned into ecstasy. And Gadara Pandit thought, oh my goodness, I've destroyed my devotional life, committed an offense. And to pay for that offense, he decided to take Diksha from Pundarik Vijayanidhi. Because, according to him, the only way one can pay for offense committed to Vaishnava is to serve, to beg for his blessings, to beg for his forgiveness. So that is how Gadara Pandit became an initiated disciple of Pundarik Vijayanidhi. So in most cases, people don't know some of these details because you see the Panchatattva and he's just the next person there. People tend to think everybody is initiated by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but no. But they were so close. And when Lord Chaitanya took sannyas, and then eventually he started his Prema Leela, Krishna Prema Leelas. Gadara Pandit also was very much infected with that. And I remember on one occasion, Lord Chaitanya was to have a program at Suklamba Brahmachari's home. So in those days, Suklamba Brahmachari, he was not living in the temple. But Lord Chaitanya went to his home to have a program. Okay. Sometimes the books are there, we read them, but we don't seem to click what they're saying, because we build up some blogs, and we don't want to hear something else. We just read through them. But yeah, Sukambara, although he was a brahmachari, he has his home. Lord Chaitanya went there, and Gadara Pandit had Lord Chaitanya was coming there, so he decided to go there. He was at the veranda. And when Lord Chaitanya was there and he was giving a talk, at some point in time he went to ecstasy. And then Lord Chaitanya also heard how Gadara Pandit was so much infected with loving emotions. He was crying and all those things. So he asked, who is that? Who is that? Who is that crying? Then his associates told him, oh, it's your Gadara Pandit. So they were together in Navadvip and performing the Sankirtan movement. They were out, even the nocturnal kirtans. Gadara Pandit was part of it. Nocturnal kirtans means the night kirtans in the home of Sivas. Of course, those night kirtans, they almost generated a lot of trouble because the neighbors they feel disturbed. And so sometimes we are in a place and then the neighbors are complaining or disturbed. It's not something new. Right from Lord Chaitanya's period, neighbors will always complain. We just have to see how we are being adjusted to be able to carry out the mission of Lord Chaitanya. We can't say, well, we don't care, because they may resort to police and we can get stopped by some higher forces. So, bottom line is that they were all engaged together. People to work together is not a joke. Why? We come from different backgrounds. We have different mindsets, different modus operandi, and modus operandi. We have different cultural settings. The way we think, the way we do things are always different. Therefore, to work together could be a difficult thing. To manage resources, to manage human resources, people coming from diverse cultural backgrounds and diverse, have different diverse potentials, could be different, could be difficult. But then it's not something new. Lord Chaitanya had all of his associates. They were not from his family. They were not from his family. And they worked together very, very much in a loving way. So there are good examples. These are good examples for us to emulate. And eventually, when Lord Chaitanya when he went to Puri, the Radha Pandit also he went to Puri. In Puri, he was worshiping. You know the deity he was worshiping? Who knows? Huh? Gadara, yeah. Well, he was worshiping a deity in Puri. Tota Gopinath, yeah. And when Lord Chaitanya left the planet, Lord Chaitanya merged into that deity, Tota Gopinath. That the deity Gadara Pandit was worshiping. And when Lord Chaitanya, when Lord Chaitanya left the planet, Gadara Pandit was so much affected. He was so much aggrieved. And then his body, at that time, was just like 48. And then it just became wan, old, haggard. And his hands could not be stretched anymore. And then Lord Krishna, his deity, he couldn't, gallant his deity anymore because of the debility, which was caused by the disappearance of Lord Chaitanya, separation. But then what did Lord Krishna do? He sat down. So of all the deities of Krishna deities, even in India, that is the only deity you see sitting there. He sat down to enable Gadara Pandit to do his service. So, Tota Gopinath. How many of you have been there? You've been there. But anybody else? Been there? Good. Anyone? Any Mataji's? Anybody? So, these things are real, not just some folk tales. You go to India, you see that. Sometimes people read the Bhagavad Gita and they say, oh, this is mythology. Mythology is something that never existed. It's like fiction. In different literature, there are fictions and real literature. The Vedic literature, the Vedic tradition, this Vedic historiography is not mythology. It's real events. Kurukshetra is still there. And Navadvip is there. Mayapur is there. So when people talk about mythology, and I remember one time we were having a parikram in Vrindavan, so we entered one shrine, and I carried one pamphlet. And this pamphlet, I was so pissed off. You know what they say? They said, they're describing the whole scenario as mythology. Now, some of these people, they hear Western scholars describe the Vedic literature or Vedic culture and mythology, and maybe they don't understand, and they're repeating the same thing like parrots. I was so upset. I said, how could this happen here in Vrindavan? And someone is making this type of silly, horrible blasphemy. And that's it. A shrine where they have deities. They put some pamphlets outside, and that's why they're portraying to the public. So, my point is, the Vedic culture is not a mythology. It's a real reality. Krishna appeared in Mathura. Mathura is there. The prison where he appeared is there. So how can we say it's a mythology? So Lord Chaitanya appeared on this planet over 500 years ago. And he had his associates. And one of his associates was Radha Pandit, and today is appearance of Radha Pandit. So this is not mythology. Any comments or questions? We have 5 minutes. In the absence of any comments or questions, I'd like to join this meeting.
I have a question.
Okay.
Like different scriptures which is already stated before, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, and especially in the Upanishads. And we see in the Chaitanya Lila, and Lord was doing his before becoming devotee, before expressing his Krishna Lila. So every devotee, whenever they met with him, they became a little bit upset because he was doing arguments.
Yeah.
And they are praying to Krishna.
Like my devotee, yeah.
And if we be devotee of Krishna, then we will never leave him for a second.
Sure.
So I'm just getting astonished because Padita Thakur and all of this great devotees, they knew the scriptures. So they naturally they should know this Krishna himself. But here we saw that they didn't know.
Yeah, it's covered. The people in it. There's the energy of Krishna, the Antaranga Shakti covers even the devotees of. Like, when Krishna showed the universal form to Mother Yasoda, when he said, "Open your mouth," and then he opened his mouth and saw the whole universe is inside. So Yasoda was having that awe and reverence. Krishna covered him up with his divine energy. So the devotees, because see, it's a Leela, and if everybody just is conscious about the fact that this is the Supreme Lord and all this stuff, how is the Leela going to take place? How is the Leela going to take place? So the Lord covers up even his devotees. So that, for instance, in the case of Mother Yasoda, so that she treats him as his beloved son. Otherwise, he didn't want that awe and reverence treatment. That's why he appeared as as a child to his family. So yeah, it is the working of the Krishna's divine energy. He used that to cover his devotees up, so that they can have that proper relationship, like humans. Yeah, humans are bound to doubt. Look at that, apparently. He doubted. Okay. It's a nice point. All right, 1 more minute. And any other point? Yes.
Just have one question. In the same era as Sri Lord Chaitanya, was Radha present?
What is this question?
The question is like, because Sri Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya was incarnation of Sri Krishna, so was the Radha and was also
Oh yeah, Radha Pandit was Radharani. Yeah, that's what Kavi Kanapura mentioned in his book called Sri Gora Ganodesha Dipika. That book gives you explanation of the people in Chaitanya Lila who they were in Krishna Lila. Yeah, Radha Pandit is mentioned. He is an incarnation of Radharani.
I just got confused because you discussed that they had the relation as the brother side, it is
But when we were growing up as kids, but in the past life, in Krishna Lila, Radha Pandit was Radharani. They grow up as kids, people in the same neighborhood or even the same extended family. Radha Pandit's father was Srimad Mishra. Lord Chaitanya's father was Jagannath Mishra. Okay. Yeah, so and they lived close by. Yeah. Their homes were close by. So they knew each other. Their difference in age was just 1 year. Yeah. But Lord Chaitanya was older by 1 year. But he was running in the Krishna Lila. And there's a lot of descriptions of how he served exactly the way Radharani served Krishna, gallants, making them flowers for him in the groves of Navadvip and all these things. Yeah. Yes, what's that?
And was there some special reason for taking male one from some particular lessons to dress for something?
Okay, that's a good query. I've not seen the specific reason, but for the purpose of the Panchatattva, the associates, there were 5 associates, and all of them were male. And keep in mind that Lord Chaitanya, when he came to expound Madhurya Ras, to teach Madhurya Ras, to show Madhurya Ras, the symptoms of Madhurya Ras, to teach Madhurya Ras. So, Radharani, he was with Krishna. At that time, Krishna was Lila Purushottam. This time, Lord Chaitanya is Prema Purushottam. He came to teach how to attain Prema. So there was no need for Radharani to be present, accompanying him everywhere as a female, because all of his associates, the Panchatattva, they are all males. You see, in India, even up to now, sadhus, you cannot be associated with women. and so to avoid those type of sociological conflicts, also it's just clear. But essentially, because the Panchatattva, they're all males, and that is the reason, that is one of the reasons why Gadadhar Pandit has to be a male too. Otherwise, the relationship will not be intense.
It's just a matter of this happening 548 years.
Yeah. Thank you. It's a nice point. Philosophy. You study philosophy?
But I'm just interested.
That's good. It's good. Good thinking. To ask questions is more important than answering questions. Anybody can answer a question. It takes a lot of intelligence to ask questions. It takes a lot of creativity to ask questions. Yes.
Speaking more institutionally, the question regarding the PhD in our movement, you mentioned about Krishna asking to do the PhD in deity worship, which I now discovered.
Okay.
Yeah. You also work on fraud, you mentioned yesterday.
Yeah. I did some research on fraud and demonstrated how it was a hermeneutic study and demonstrated how chanting of Hare Krishna prevents financial fraud. No, it prevents all crimes. For instance, because my focus was on financial fraud, financial crimes is one of my research areas. And so, see, Nada Muni was never indicted. Nada Muni was not like Trump, who was indicted. He was never indicted. He's the greatest devotee of all times. He was never indicted. You never heard that, he was involved in fraud. People don't know about Nada Muni, and people are not even religious. So the only way you can demonstrate to people is to show scientifically that, this mantra has the power to make you transcend crime.
my question is, this Victoria Treasure House, all this research were made by different devotees, and where to find it, and how
That's a good point. That's a good
shown
point.
in our movement, because it's so important. Sometimes we fight, like it's not we find, but we struggle to make it logical, make it palatable for the public. And if they know more about this, it's more in the scene. Then
that's true. Right now, I saw 3 publications at the website of the ISKCON Ministry of Education, but that is after how many years? So I saw Umila's research, her PhD dissertation. I saw also research by one of Radha Parisisvara Swami's disciples, a Russian. He did something, he worked on something on consciousness. And my publication, my recent publication is also there. I was thinking about this, in terms of collecting all of devotees' different theses and research works that have to do with this, with our teachings. There are so many right now. There are research published on how the chanting helps to mitigate depression. There are research published in peer-reviewed journals, and these are quantitative research. Quantitative research are generalizable. It's not that the research was conducted in America, and so it does not apply to people in France. No, quantitative research are applicable universally. And so there are so many of them right now. So what he said, we should have a storehouse, a reservoir of publications that are related to the Krishna consciousness teachings. And there are so many of them right now. I met one guy in Mayapur the other time. He wrote me, and then I forgot his name. Sometimes people, send me some information, and then if I don't remember the name, but I have all, because on my phone I have all these doctor. So if I forgot the name, then it becomes a problem to track that information. There's this devotee, I met him I went to the school in Mayapur, and in the international school, and then one of the teachers, he told me about this devotee. So eventually I met up with him. He did his PhD on kirtan. Yeah. On kirtan. Right? Yeah. But some of these things you can find on the net. For instance, if you want to track some things like this, like you could go to Google Scholar, okay, and track some of these things. Say Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, a PhD dissertation, kirtan, PhD dissertation, or Sunny Therapeutic Intervention by Dr. Vasudeva. You see them. Yeah. Yeah, but what the point you raise is very, very valid. It's time to have a reservoir of all of these scientific publications that are related to our teachings in one place. Your point is very, very valid. Someone has to take up that responsibility. So, thank you for raising this. All right, we are 10 minutes above the time already.
That is really helpful for us in our campus.
So who can join this meeting? And thank you everyone, because I'm leaving today. I'm going to split in Croatia. Yeah.
One more question.
Oh, please. Okay.
While you're here, I want you to. It's an opportunity to have this.
Okay.
Actually, you mentioned that in Vrindavan there was a concept and they were talking about mythology. And I was thinking that actually in Vrindavan there are people, devotees, who are not worshipping Lord Gauranga as Krishna. So I was thinking that, well, first of all, that's unfortunate. But I was thinking, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, but how do we worship Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Because it's not different from Krishna. If you can't worship Lord Chaitanya, has the supreme yoga, for example, in Madhya Rasa. There are sahajiya that are worshipping Lord and Mahaprabhu as a lover. But that was not the mood of
The worship of Lord Gauranga is also stated in the Bhagavatam. They're chanting the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Lord Gauranga came to teach that. So if we chant the holy names of the Lord, we come together to chant. We go on Harinam, we do the kirtan, the japa. We are automatically worshiping Lord Gauranga. Because Lord Gauranga is it's an integration of Radha and Krishna. And that Maha Mantra, Radha and Krishna's names are embedded. So if you chant that name or those names of the Lord in that Maha Mantra, automatically we are worshiping Lord Gauranga. Yeah. And in most cases, most temples I've been to, most countries, initial stage when people become involved in devotional practice and then they want to have deities, they recommend them to have a deity of Gauranga, because that worship, you don't commit so much of, you don't get into too much complications because of the extreme mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Nice point. All right, thank you very much, everyone, for participating in this morning class. Srimad Bhagavatam, okay? Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, okay? Srila Prabhupada, okay?
Thank you.